In the gospel today, we hear the story of Jesus' encounter with Bartimaeus, a man who is blind. Now, Bartimaeus has an unusual name. The first part of his name, Bar, is Hebrew for son of and was a common prefix to a name throughout Galilee and Judea. But the second half of his name, Timaeus, is seemingly Greek. This would seemingly indicate either his father was and remained a Greek pagan, while his mother was Jewish, or his father converted Judaism but retained a Greek name. Either way, it put him on the edge of Jewish society. Yes, he was Jewish, but that Jewishness was not above being questioned. And so, whether this was actually his name or just what everyone called him to remind him of his status is also questionable. Add to this that he was blind, and Bartimaeus' societal standing was extremely low. Well, certainly not everyone in the first century Judea would have attributed Bartimaeus' blindness to sinfulness by him or his ancestors. The idea was still very much present throughout the first century Mediterranean world. And whether it was associated with blindness or with sinfulness or not, blindness was considered a severe limitation on being a functional member of society. Most people with blindness either became beggars, like Bartimaeus, or were taken care of by family members and kept in a lifelong state of dependency. Even today, much of the discussion and language around people with disabilities is to either focus on the disabilities rather than the people, or to focus on the disabilities as something broken needing to be fixed rather than as differences to be accommodated and embraced. And look, I'm not saying that we should not work to heal people who are in pain or danger from their disabilities, or condemn anyone who seeks out medical treatment to reduce their level of disability. But I am saying that we need to recognize that we are all, in some way, abled and disabled, and that those with disabilities often find ways to accommodate themselves to our shared world that we all can learn from. To get around, those who do not have full use of their legs often will build up amazing upper body strength and be able to do tasks with that strength that those of us with the use of our legs cannot help but envy. Those who are deaf often learn two languages, sign language and lip reading, that those of us who can hear struggle to learn. And those with chronic pain can build up a tolerance that allows them to continue to work and function through other injuries that would leave others incapacitated. All of us have our strengths and our weaknesses. And some of those strengths come from needing to overcome those weaknesses. And this is what we see in the story of Bartimaeus. He is already an outcast because of who he is and the name he has been given. Add to this his blindness, his inability to see through his eyes, and he is living on the very edges of society. But because he is an outsider looking in, because he cannot see with his eyes and must instead see through his ears, his hands, his mind, and his heart, Bartimaeus sees that which those around him cannot. He knew the scriptures in a way that those who can read never will. There was no Braille in first century Judea, so all that he knew, he had read aloud and had committed to memory. He had heard read aloud. He did not merely go to synagogue on Saturday and hear the scriptures, listen to an explanation, and then go back about his life. To learn the scriptures, he had to keep repeating them to himself throughout the week and truly learn them. So when he encountered Jesus, Bartimaeus knew who Jesus was in a way that even those who had been following Jesus since his baptism at the Jordan River did not. He could see that to which they were blind. He could see that Jesus was the promised one. And so his physical sight is restored to him. But in reality, he could see more before his healing than those who had always had 20/20 vision could. And this is reinforced by the ending, in which he is recorded as following Jesus in the way, a phrase that literally meant the road, but was also the name of Christianity before Christianity was called Christianity. The challenge that Jesus and Bartimaeus poses for each of us, therefore, is to recognize how our own physical weaknesses and disabilities can be our spiritual strengths, and how our physical abilities and strengths can limit us spiritually. and to overcome not simply our physical limitations, but our spiritual ones as well. Amen.